Okay, this week we're going to learn about software and the different kinds of software that you'll be using as a teacher and in your daily lives. Okay, so there's really two basic types of software. The first is the operating system software, which is what is running in the background of all of the applications that you run. An application is also known as application software. As you can see here, you have your hardware, and then running between the hardware and the application is your operating system. Sometimes you'll hear things like Linux, um, Windows, DOS. These are all operating systems. The DOS system on PCs is the system at the very bottom, and it runs behind Windows. So operating system software is the definition is that programs and other operating information used by a computer system. So basically what the operating system does is it allocates resources, and by resources we mean the memory that is used by your computer to operate your computer, your monitor, and all your peripherals. It monitors the activities, and by activities, we mean when you're running five different softwares, a browser, a Word, PowerPoint, you might have your ebook management software running, and those are all running at the same time. So those are different activities that you're running. It also means different activities that are running, like updates to software that is running in the background. And then it also manages your disks, your hard drives, and your files. And puts that in a way that stores properly on those hard disks. So here's another way of looking at the operating system. Um, all software will operate out of the operating system and the operating system software. So your monitors, your peripherals, your keyboards, your disk drives, applications, your mouse. And the way that the operating system starts is that when you boot up your hard drive, it's booting up the system. There's a software file called the config sys. So you're not literally booting your system by kicking it. It is starting up this config sys file, which is a configuration file, and a bootup.ini file. And what those are system programs that tells the computer what programs that you want it to start automatically, how to allocate the memory resources, and it gets your system started. So to understand resources a little bit, when programs are running, they are using what is called system resources. The more system resources that are in use, the less resource is available for processing information. So if you have 15 programs running at the same time and you go to try and do a calculation on a spreadsheet, sometimes you'll get that little beeping sound that just sounds totally different than anything else that comes out of your computer. It means that you are running out of memory and system resources. Sometimes you'll get a little error that'll tell you that you need to close down some windows because you don't have enough resources. That's what they're talking about, is that you're running too many programs, or you have too many programs automatically processing at the same time. The difference between random access memory and your hard drive or your disk space is that random access memory is where things are processed before their hard drive stores them, whereas your hard drive memory is where data is stored. It is the actual copy of the files. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the task manager and how you can more fully see what I'm talking about here. The way that you start the task manager is you do hold down your control key, your alt key, and your delete key. And it will take you to a system startup menu, and then you click on your start task manager. And what happens is a window opens up for the task manager, and this is where you can see all of the applications that you're running at a time. But more importantly, if you go down to the bottom, it'll show you all the processes that are running, not just your application. So here you can see I have 124 processes running at any given time. And that is using those processes are using 21 to 31% without me doing any work right now. Um, you can see how it's processing stuff and using percentages of the resource. The maximum is, of course, 100%. Now, if you are using and you see that your CPU is hitting 100%, that's when you are going to start having problems. And when that happens, your system is going to start getting bogged down and it's going to slow down. And so what you want to do is go look and see which of these processes might be taking too many resources. A good way to do that is if you click on the second tab, which is your processes tab. Here is where you can see all of the programs that are running in the background. Now, not all of them are using your CPU. Some of them are just up and running just in case that you need to use them. So for example, for my Foxit reader, it's not actually doing anything because there's no updates needed, and I haven't started my Foxit. But the reason why they do this is to make sure that you can load programs faster. That's why a lot of these processes are running. It's just so that you can expedite the amount of time it takes to run a program. To see how much a certain program is using, you can see if you click on the CPU button a couple of times, it will sort the usage by the maximum, what is using the most resources at the time. This fourth column is your memory, and this is the amount of the working memory in your RAM that this program will use when it's actually running. So here you can see I'm actually recording right now. I'm using SM Recorder, and you can see how this is using the most resources. You can also click on performance, and will actually show you in a timeline what your performance is so that you can kind of get a better idea of what software programs might be doing too much work or taking too many resources. If you wanted to stop a certain program from running, you can click the status and then double click on something, or start the service, or I'm sorry, not double click, right click, and then it'll show you whether or not you want to start that service or not. So as you can see, I've got some services that I've stopped that aren't, for example, my Mozilla maintenance. I don't need that because Mozilla actually isn't doing any updates anymore. So I've stopped that service. If you have, and this happens frequently, if you have an application that has quit responding and you can't get it to stop and you can't get it to close, you would use this to click on it, right click, and then end the task, and that will force a program that's been frozen from starting back up, or from if it's the program has been frozen, it will force the shutdown. Another way you can do it is if I have a program that I don't want to be running and I can't seem to stop it here, I can go to the actual process and right click it and end that there by ending the process. So, application software are programs that are designed to perform specific tasks for users. You are the user, whoever is using the computer. So, most commonly, you see it as a productivity tool. You'll hear that often, productivity software, or as a business tool. You use application software to assist with creating graphics and putting together multimedia projects. Application software can support school and professional activities. It can help with home and personal activities and organization. And most importantly, it helps to facilitate communications. So here you can kind of see how you start up an application and then interact with it. So when you turn on your PC, as we've said before, your operating system will start out and then Windows will load into the memory and it displays that desktop on the screen. You would click the Start button on the Windows taskbar to display the Start menu and then choose which program that you want to use. So for example, in this situation, they're showing the Paint command. You can also have what's called shortcuts on your screen, and that would start up the program as well. So what'll happen then, you start the software and then the window will start up for, in this example, the Paint program. You would then instruct the program to open a file where your data is stored, and then you could then instruct the Paint program to print the photo, or you can make editing on it. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you'll do through these dialog boxes. So here's the basic categories of application software. You have your productivity, your business tools, and that's word processing, spreadsheets, databases, personal information management like task lists and calendars. You have your presentation graphics or presentation software like PowerPoint. And then you have what's called software suites. The most common software suite would be, that I can think of off the top of my head, would be like Microsoft. Microsoft packages and bundles basic programs like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote into a bundle or a software suite. One of the free ones out there is Open Office, and we'll talk about that in a second. So the next major category is your graphic design and application software, and that includes programs like desktop publishing, Paint, image editing, multimedia authoring, and web page authoring. Your school software would be a school student management system. That's where you take care of your attendance, or, reporting or adding things for like IEPs, gradebook software, software applications that encourage learning, and then your special needs and adaptive softwares would also be considered school application software. Home and personal software includes things like personal finance. The one that we use here at home is Microsoft Money, but there's other softwares. I think Quicken has one, and I can't think of any more off the top of my head. You also can use tax preparation software that would be included in this category, legal software, and entertainment software. Now, I do want to remind you that application software doesn't necessarily have to be an independent software program used on your computer. It is now coming to mean software solutions that are located on the internet. So don't get confused by that. If it's a presentation software on SkyDrive, it is still a productivity software package. And then you have your communications. You have email, chat rooms, texting or instant messaging, blogs, wikis, news groups. There's just all kinds of ways of communicating on the internet. So, one of the things that they don't talk about in your book is the idea that you don't have to pay a lot of money for software. There's a lot of software on the internet that you can try out for free or just get for free. And I mentioned openoffice.org. OpenOffice is a productivity suite that interacts with all of the, Microsoft Word with WordPerfect. It does all that file formatting. But what is an open source program that is made by developers that you can download and use on your computer. So that would be called freeware. Freeware is just free software, and I love the whole open source idea because it allows everybody to have access to the usable applications that are out there. Another type of software would be your shareware. Shareware is available on, somebody comes up with an idea, they develop a software program, and then you're free to try it for a limited period of time. Generally, it's 14 to 30 days. Some of them will say, you can use this for 15 times. Some shareware will be out there where you can use it for free, but there'll be features that are limited, like you can create something, but you can't output it or print it. And then finally, you have your payware, which is commercial software that comes with a price. So you pay for the software, and then you can download it on your internet or onto your computer. Now, I have to tell you that the licensing agreements for payware softwares, and this is why you can't just go sell a box of software at a garage sale, is that their trick is that you are only licensing it. If you buy that software and they give you a code to activate that software, a lot of companies will only allow you a limited number of times that you can activate a software before they shut it down. And their philosophy is you're not purchasing the software, you are actually only licensing it or renting it for a certain period of time. So be very cautious about that when you're selling it or trying to resell it. So, given the fact that people are making money, I mean, Microsoft is making money, Google is making money, all this software development, they're making money. Why would people develop freeware? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is that they independent developers will try harder to create new or improved ideas on currently existing software. Some of them um, do it to fill a niche or a small commercial market. Now remember, Microsoft can't think of everything and they can't develop everything. So you get that niche market and they'll develop that freeware or that shareware. Um, they might do it to improve or enhance the designs of a program. I know that I've got a couple of free macros and things for like my Excel that will take out leading zeros, and it's an add-on, they call it. It's an add-on software. Some of these people are just highly inventive. Some of them are angry at the amount of money that these big, huge software corporations are making, and they're frustrated at the limitations that they put on people. I've got a lot of friends who actually use Linux as their operating system because Linux is actually, according to them, a better system, and it's a free system. Why pay $400 for Windows when you can use a Linux system? And sometimes they're doing it for publicity. They might be consultants and they're trying to get large companies to hire them on to develop software for their, own independent, for their own ideas. So that's some of the reasons why people develop the freeware. So, oops, I'm going backwards. Sorry about that. So, what is available for software? Well, if you can imagine it, you can find it. You can find utility software packages that make your computer work better, safer, quicker, and give you better access and control over what is going on. You have business programs, office suites, programs for games, hobbies, any kind of fun stuff. Look at the Chrome App Store, just loaded down with programs. Handy programs and tools to make your work easier. If you're a gardener and you want to plan out a garden, there is actually free software where you can put in the dimensions of your garden and pull in information about the plants, and it's free. And again, those enhancements to currently existing programs. So, who develops these products? Well, there's commercial enterprises that they're hoping to build a new market, individual IT people looking for big bucks through small payments. Sometimes they do that donate. I know Calibre, which is an ebook management software, is a free software, but they do ask you to donate. I mean, if you think about it, you build the software, 1 million people download it, and 500,000 of those give you $1, that's $500,000 for your effort. So, hobbyists and do gooders, and then businesses using the product as a come on or an advertising medium. You'll see, especially in education, that you can purchase this, you get these free software programs, and then all of a sudden you go in and it's not free anymore. And that is because they use you to test the development, they get your feedback, and then they release it for commercial use. So the pros to freeware is that they are free. And the cons are it might have ads, it could have spyware, and it may not be compatible with your operating system. Shareware is low cost and you can try before you buy it so you can see if that's really what you want to use. The cons are, again, it might have ads or spyware and it may not work as it's advertised. So now here's where you go to find freeware and shareware. My favorite site is CNET, but you can also go to PC World, PC Magazine, Two Cows, ZDNet, and Microsoft. And I love these sites because they do scan for viruses, so you can be pretty confident that when you download these off the internet, that they're not going to put viruses onto your computer. They also provide information on the product. There's rating scales. And reviews on these sites. Um, they'll professionals. CNET is an excellent site for reviews. You'll get editors pick and best awards. There's newsletters for up-to-date info. For Tech for Teachers is one of the sites I like that will let you know. And then you can also look for shareware using search tools. Some other sites that I've used in the past is AltComp Freeware and AltComp Shareware. Those are news groups that people will post their new freeware shareware. Some organizations: OpenOffice.org, FreeSW, Find, Freeware Network, and then Jez Freeware and Freeware Info Center. So if you search these are also good sites to get some free software onto your computer. If you want to use a site, so let's say you wanted to find a grade book or a template, or an add-on, you can search open source gradebook, maybe classroom management freeware, hard drive cleanup shareware. These are all keywords that you might use to locate software. Now, I have a few favorite things that I'm going to share with you. These are things that I have on my computer right now. The first one is OpenOffice.org. I mean, I've mentioned that several times. I love it because it keeps updated. I don't have to every 2010. When 2010 comes through, 2013 now is getting, for Microsoft, is getting pushed. OpenOffice keeps right up with them, and I don't have to go out and buy a new software package. CCleaner cleans up temporary storage space. AVG is a free antivirus program. Malware Bytes catches malware before it advances slows up your computer. And Advanced System Care. I highly recommend that you, even if you don't use the Open Office, that these 4 software programs you put onto your computer today and that you run them at least once a week, because that keeps your computer running a little bit more smoothly.